could actually just pick up right where we were, but we'll see. Okay, we should be back live. Hopefully that fixed it. Every once in a while you just kind of gotta kick the machine, right?
Let us know, because we have no way of knowing what's going on there. I actually monitor it a little bit on the YouTube website on my iPhone, but then again, I also have questions coming in that I try to monitor as well. Okay. Anyhow, if you're back with us, I hope you are. Sorry about any. I don't know what's going on. I know we've had some trouble up here lately, this past week or so. We were hoping it wouldn't carry into this broadcast tonight. We will see. Anyhow, we have a fellow named Tom Keel. Now, Tom built something. It was from our Shipyard Brewery kit. Lenny, is it possible? Are we in good enough shape to get some photos up of that?
We do not have any photos of that.
Tom Keel, we don't have anything? Did you look in the average chat, that folder I made up? That's not in there?
Yep.
Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to have to skip on this because apparently I forgot to post the photos. Okay. What else do we have? A fellow named George Landes, Landes, wrote to us, after completing the O-Scale Railroad Express Agency, I started on the O-Scale Springfield Station, pictures of which are attached. I don't know if you have those photos. Maybe I skipped a couple here.
I do not.
There's been a lot of photos this week.
I
enjoyed building this kit along with the REA kit, have given me a better understanding as to how you have engineered your windows, doors, and other pieces of your models. Each modeling company seems to do this slightly differently, so starting with a simpler, smaller kit helps me get the techniques down prior to building more challenging kits. George Landis, that's a pretty observant observation.
Wisdom statement is that you start with the smaller kits and work your way up.
Anyway. Tonight we have, in front of us, we have an interview with John Addison. Hopefully we're able to make this work because John and Bill Satori both are new at Skype, and sometimes things can get screwed up, as we found out on the very first broadcast we did back in January. And what John did do was he sent us a video of his Silverton Central. Many of you have seen this. Some of you undoubtedly have not seen this. And right after the video plays, we're going to come on back and we're going to have a little talk with John Addison. If you have any modeling questions, remember he does narrow gauge Colorado and he's a master modeler. Get your questions ready, and we'll be right back right after this video. Lenny, are we good?
Yep. I'm going to pull it up right now.
Get your earbud.
Okay, we're gonna bring John in here, and let me see here. Just gotta press a couple buttons and bring him in here. Let's see here.
We're having a tough time here.
No tough time. All right, there we got him.
Oh, we have him.
John, can you hear us?
Don't hear him.
John, can you hear us?
I tell you what we're going to do right now, because we're having trouble with the connection with John Addison.
I've got him right here. John, can you hear us?
I can't hear him.
Okay, let's try this. John, can you hear us? John, can you hear us?
All right, this is, am I on right now?
Yes, you are.
Okay, look, this happens once in a while, especially since we're new to Skype. We're going to jump right ahead, and we'll try to contact John by phone and set something up. Lenny's asking me to...
Yep, I'm going to take you back to the main screen while I talk to John.
And can
You
you
guys wanna
bring us
just
up
talk for
on?
a
Can
second?
you bring us up on Jack's clinic? We're going to jump ahead to Jack's clinic right now.
Sure. All right, we can definitely do that.
We did a special clinic tonight for you guys
Oh, I
in
left
Jack's
some-
corner.
I left stuff in the car. Oh, well. There's a box of stuff in the car.
You don't need it for this. It's okay.
No, I had it for the stuff that we use in the clinic, just so I show people, but.
Sorry about this.
All right, I will pull up the clinic right now.
Good evening, guys. We're here tonight on the Jack's Corner. We're going to discuss doing shingling of slate roofs. We're going to go through how we kind of quickly put them on, and then how to weather them and make them look a little more natural than just the little cutout shingles that come in the strips. Here we have an example of a roof that's partially done, but we're going to show you how we're going to put the rows of shingles on as we go. What we're going to use for shingles today is these shingles here. They're bar mill shingles. They are got peel and stick on the back, so you don't need to put any glue on them. Some people in some kits you have to put glue down, but these are peel and stick, which make it much easier. You're going to cut each row off of each end. That'll give you a single strip of shingles. You're going to take the single strip and probably cut it a little bit longer than the roof, and you're going to lay it right along the edge here. You might overhang the bottom edge just a little bit. Now that gives you individual, it looks like individual shingles the way it's cut. The next row we're going to put up, we're going to do the same way, cut one a little longer, and you can see that if we take a half a shingle and take the split from the next row up and go to the middle of the little shingle right below it and space it that way all the way across, that'll give you an offset of a half a shingle for each row. So each row will be offset one half of a shingle, single shingle, all the way to the top. So that way you're going to get this nice even texture back and forth of the way the shingles lay on the roof. If you look here, what we've done up in this bare spot, you can see some pencil lines. I put some guidelines in. Basically, they're not exactly the width of the shingles, but they're close. And then that gives me an idea whether I'm tipped or I'm straight. I'm trying to keep them straight across. It gives me an idea. If I don't come right on the line, it's no big deal. So I would shingle that all the way to the top. And the easiest way to do this is, if you can, do it when the roof is flat and it's not folded yet, so it's flat. And then you can just flip it over, take your knife. I don't have my knife with me, but you take your knife and you can run it right up this edge 3 or 4 times, and it will cut the edges right off. So you do both ends, you get nice clean cuts on both ends. If you are doing it, and it is on a roof that's assembled, you can then take something like cuticle scissors and go right up the edge and trim them right off nice and neat.
Okay.
Now you've got the whole side shingled. The next thing you want to do is, if you have a chimney to go in or something that breaks the pitch of the roof, you need to put it in by cutting a little basically a slot that the chimney will fit right in, and glue it in so it's dead vertical. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do for a cap. There's a couple ways to do caps. I use our tar paper. It's fairly easy to use. What I will do is cut a strip. If you can see it here or on here, we have a strip that this one's cut out, and I will make it, I think I make it a 1.5 inch wide scale, 1.5 inch wide, and I will fold it down the middle so it's folded in half. Then I would strip off the backing, and then I would lay it right over the top of the roof, and I would kind of burnish it in with my paintbrush. Is the easiest way. You just rub it down tight, and that will give you a nice, smooth, very common finish. The other option is this is a material called floral wire. You can buy it at any Michael's store. Comes in a package, probably like 22 of these for like $1. It's pre-painted. It's very nice. They have two sizes. You want to buy the bigger size. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it to length between the chimney and a little bit longer than the roof. And then I'm going to take some ACC, and where the roof is folded, it's got a little like trough in there, and this will set right in that trough, and you'll glue it in, and it'll sit right on top of the peak of the roof. Let it overhang on this end. We'll trim it off later with a pair of nippers. And when you cut it with the nippers, you want to cut it at an angle, small angle, so it looks really good. Then you're going to cut strips that are 3/4 of a foot, basically on your scale, and I'm going to lay that piece right in below it, right like that. You can see it. It butts right up against the piece, the rod, and it lays right in there. I'm going to burnish it in. I'm going to do it on both sides. What do you say? All right, the strips that we're putting on here, it's best to paint them ahead of time using a ceram coat, which is this, I think it's called Sea Mist. It's a light green, but any of these light greens, that color will work. And we're going to see if we can replicate what weathered copper looks like. That's what we're trying to get done here. So after we've got our caps done, it's time we're going to make these. This is just kind of a plain roof. We're going to make it look a little better. Our next step is we're going to color some of these individual shingles. We're going to use an ink and alcohol, and it's 2 ounces of alcohol and 10 drops of Higgins India permanent ink. I'm going to dip it's probably a 00 brush, and I'm going to, if you look at this, I'm going to lay it on just one of these little bitty, each individual shingle. It's a random thing here. You're going to do them here and there and all over the place like this. You may need to do a second coat. You may not. Sometimes it's dark enough and sometimes it isn't, depending upon the medium that you're working on. So you're going to go all along like this. And that's basically what we're going to do. You can do a couple in a row like that. You can do singles. You can mix it all up. I'll show you in a minute what it looks like when it's done, and it'll show you what the random effect looks like. The other thing I like to do is I like to put a shadow line in, believe it or not. And that's where one shingle meets the row below it. I'm just going to draw this right along. It looks really dark here, but it's going to lighten up quite a bit. It's going to lighten up quite a bit. And if you fudge it up a little bit, it's not bad. But what I'm trying to do is, if you look right here, you can see that shadow line that's going right across there. And it brings out each row of the shingles. This is going to dry up a light. You can see over here how light it is going to get, so it's all going to get lighter. So you might have to go back over these tiles. It takes a little bit longer, but when you're done, it has a great effect. So basically, I'm going to do every one of those lines probably twice, and I'm going to end up with that shadow effect. So what we're looking at when we're done, is I'm going to flip this over, is a much more interesting roof that shows all of you can see we have the different colored shingles, and if you look really close, you can see, if you really look, you can see the shadow lines. And then we've just put some weathering or pan pastels to drip it down so it would be like soot, and then a little bit of the rust-colored pan pastels to make it look like rust running down the roof. And then what we'll do is we'll do a dry brush with white. This is regular plain old white apple barrel 50-cent craft paint. And I'm going to do a dry brush. And with a dry brush, I'm going to dip it in my paint. I'm going to scrub off as much paint as I can. And then I'm going to draw it from the top to the bottom here on all this, just a little bit to highlight the edges. And then I'm going to dry brush all the way across these. Both of them, both of the caps. If you get a little on the thing, it's not going to matter. And then when that dries, I'm going to let it dry for a while. I'm going to go over it with a little ink and alcohol and dull it down, and it's going to look like it is copper that has been weathered. And that's basically what I do with my slate roofs. Here in my hand, I have a kind of an idea of what this all looks like when you're done. It kind of fills in the whole thing. And we hope to have a couple questions so we can get all your questions answered, and we'll see you a little bit later. Thanks for watching.
We're looking up to see if we
I'm
got
not sure.
well,
I don't hear anybody.
We have John. John, can you hear us? Can you hear John?
No.
You can't hear John. John, can you hear us?
Johnny, can you hear me? I got nothing.
Okay. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
We're having a little trouble getting in touch with John Addison tonight.
We've
he's
got
there.
him on. We've got him on screen, and let's see here.
I have the volume on,
John, can you hear me, sir?
and I can hear nobody.
All right. Let's see here.
I can hear John a little bit.
You should be able to hear him now.
Hey, John, can you hear me, guy? Okay, testing 1, 2. John, can you hear me? Hey, John. Come on, John.
Good-looking guy, though, isn't he?
Okay, John, you got us. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I got you. Yep,
John, can you hear me, sir?
I can.
Hey, well, look, you're a little low. Hopefully, you're coming a little bit louder on this side here. I just don't know. Anyhow, welcome to Maine. I know you're down in the great state of Florida, probably surrounded by crocodiles as we speak. How are things down there, and what are you up to these days?
Well, just working a lot mainly. That's mainly what I'm doing right now, is just working a lot. I'm doing some modeling, scenery modeling at a club close to me, a railroad club called Suncoast Model Railroad Club.
Right.
And
Well,
I do
Suncoast Model Railroad Club is something you've been involved with for many years. What town is that in down there, John?
It's an Eastern railroad. It's HO scale, and it's got about 55, 60 members, and it fluctuates back and forth.
Now, I've noticed on your video, I know you've had a chance to look at this because you sent it to us and we mildly edited it a little bit. I see you've gotten a lot of work done with your mountains in the back. It's been a few years since I've seen that layout. What is new on that? And what, if anything, have you been experimenting with? Anything new under the sun?
Well, I'm basically painting my last backdrop and working on an S scale lights to go on that harbor scene that you saw in the video. That was shot from where the backdrop normally would be, kind of looking out. And once I get the lighthouse finished and the backdrop, going to install all that. Then I'm going to go back and rework some of my water on one of the backdrops. One of the backdrops I'm not totally happy with, and I may yank it off and do some more work on it at some point. But we're getting ready to start the season up. We're talking. My layout actually resides at the Suncoast Center for Fine Scale Modeling, which is a different place than the place I was just talking about.
Oh, okay. I'm crossing wires here with this.
Yeah, the Largo Club is only about a few miles from me, and the Suncoast Center for Fine Scale Modeling is about 45 minutes from me, where I live. So, and that's where my layout actually is.
Well, let me ask you, on your SN3 layout, I realize you do in Colorado. I don't think anybody has any questions about that. And I realize much of it has been built over the course of years. What did you do exactly, for instance, as far as track work goes? Narrow gauge is always a little bit different. How did you actually expedite the track work that you have on it today?
Well, most of the track work is flex track. There is one module that's entirely a hand laid track. A friend of mine did that for me. It has the gas station on it, and you actually saw that in the video. It has the gas station and has the S-scale Fox Run mill structure on it, and the one stall engine house is also on it. But that's all hand laid track.
Well,
And
you
of
know,
course-
it looks like everything is hand laid from what I can see in the video. How did you turn plastic track into what you have there? Anything unusual? Any approaches that you've picked up on that maybe some of our viewers would like to know about?
Yeah, what I did with the track was briefly as I cut off the ties, made them uneven. I took a rail nippers and the edge of the ties. I would snip some off. Some I believe the same that they are, so they were kind of uneven in length. And then I sprayed the track with sort of a roof brown, and I came back and started putting washes on individual ties, different colors, light grays and different colors, and I used some rust on the track. And when you get it ballasted down, it actually does look like hand-laid track, even though it's not. It actually does. A lot of people say you did, they say, oh, you did a great job hand laying the track. And I said, well, thanks, but it's not really. Most of it's not hand laid.
Well, did you rely upon any ballast, not ballast, roadbed at all, homosode or otherwise?
No, actually, a lot of the railroad, most of the railroad is on hard foam, which I don't recommend that. That's not necessarily the way to go, but it's worked out for me over the years, especially since the layout now resides at the center and doesn't get moved anymore. But it's not conducive. You really need a strong road bed out of homosode or something, or thin plywood or something, because you don't want it to be able to change on you.
Well, can I assume that you used hard foam because the nature of this railroad, and I've seen this, I mean, I know you've traveled all over the country with it. The
Right.
initial nature of this railroad was to be more portable, at least from my observation. Would that be the reason for hard foam as opposed to a more traditional bench work?
Yeah, that was it. That was the make it as light as possible, and of course the trestle modules, they're pretty heavy because there's a lot of hydrocal rock on both of those. They're actually they weigh quite a bit. Recently, the last year or two, I discovered foam rocks. When I'm talking foam, I'm talking using gray foam and actually carving it with serrated knives, and then painting it black and actually dry brushing whatever color you want it to be, and the results are quite spectacular. It's some of the best looking rock ever, and it's easy to do, and of course it weighs nothing. And
Now, how did you pick up on the technique? And if someone wanted to do the same thing, is there a specific video, or have you done a video or a clinic, something to discover? Because scenery, let's face it, it's one of the last things we tend to do, and I guarantee there are very few of us out there with totally scenic railroads. How would you get a handle on that as far as teaching someone how to do that technique?
Well, it was kind of like an experiment. They were doing the frock rocks that the guys in Australia started, where you get that kind of soft foam and you rip and tear it, and then you paint it with the grout compound, and then you color it and all that kind of stuff, and it comes out okay. But the rocks I'm talking about, using the gray foam, just outstanding. The foam is dense. I think it's like an insulated foam. And I just was experimenting one day, and I said, I'm going to try something. So I started carving around on it, and then I said, all right, I'm going to do kind of a Trolls Kirk thing on it. I'm going to paint it black, and then I'm going to try to dry brush it. And that's what I did. I painted the first one black, and then I started dry brushing. I said, wow, that's pretty impressive. And I did some more, and then I really started. I'm using a lot of those at the little Suncoast Model Railroad Club right up the street from me. using more and more foam rock there because the results are just spectacular, and it's foolproof. You can't mess it up. It's just foolproof.
Well, let me ask you, what is your source for the foam? Is this something in an atomized can? I'm assuming. What is the source of the material that you're using?
Well, well, that's actually a funny story. I mean, I'm sure you can Google it and find it. And the foam's about 2 inches thick. But what happened with us up at the center was the Sunco Center in Odessa was somebody said, I've got a truckload of gray foam if you want it. They paid a little bit for it. I don't know what it was. It wasn't that much. And he dumped the foam in the back of the building on the grass. And this stuff is really durable because it's still back there. And I just took a piece the other day with me and started carving some more rocks out of it. It's hard and it's durable and it holds up. But the great thing about the gray foam is when you paint it black, you don't have to. If you get some areas that are, you don't cover all the gray, it doesn't matter. If you're using blue or pink foam, it matters. You have to cover every square centimeter of the foam in order to be able to dry brush it. Otherwise, the pink and the blue will show through.
Well, you have some fans here. The fellow named John Clark simply writes, John's layout is great to see, and I can tell you it really is. It's great to see in person, along with everything else on display at the center. A fellow named Todd, I can't quite read this, McGrath or McGrath, I'm not sure. I just picked up, that's about pan pastels. Pan pastels, do you ever use them? That's a fair question.
I actually have not experimented a lot with pan pastels. I know that a lot of my friends are using them more and more. I actually have a set of them. I've just been using a lot of artist oil washes with artist paints and odorless mineral spirits. And that's why I went away from all other types of water-based washes pretty much. I pretty much, for the most part, left that behind and pretty much do all artist oils now because it's just so easy to control and it's less warpage with it and just and the detail stays. If you put nail holes in a building and then you use artist oil wash over the building to darken it a little bit, all your nail holes stay. And with shoe dye washes and other things, they tend to want to shrink up on you and stuff like that, and you've almost got to redo them. So I love artist oils. It's the late great Brian Nolan. He was a big proponent of artist oils, and so was Dave Ravella, and that's kind of where I got into it with those two. They kind of said, "Yeah, you should try this, John," and I did, and it was really great stuff.
Well,
But pan pastels, I've seen some fantastic results with pan pastels. I mean, I really have.
Well, we are now reselling them because we believe in them so much. Let me ask you this: you're an S scale. Now, you understand, everybody out there, this is SN3. Now, we have an SN2 layout. John's been to Maine more than once up here to visit, and
yeah, it's a beautiful layout.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and we have a S scale 1 to 64. If you want to try scratch building, that's probably a scale you're not going to have too many alternatives in, although you can use force perspective. And sometimes you'll find HO scale buildings that are maybe a little oversized and will work with S scale. It's kind of a bargain scale where you're a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And generally, if you know what you're doing, and John obviously does, it comes out pretty well. Do you see any movement in either the S scale end of the hobby or the narrow gauge part of the hobby at this point, John?
What do you mean by movement? You mean just that it's becoming more popular, or?
Well, I think if you look online, you'll always see the phrase "trending now," or if you go on to watch a movie on Amazon Prime, "trending now" is. Do you see anything trending as far as the hobby goes, especially in narrow gauge or S scale in this case?
Well, I think that the ON30 thing is really kind of given a whole new niche for the narrow gauge. It's actually been, to me, I think it's been kind of a savior because a lot of people are building in ON30 that they probably never would have got into it had there not been inexpensive locomotives and rolling stock and all that stuff. And I think is where the real thing took off when you had, you know, Bachman and others start producing, you know, that stuff. It really, really took off.
Well, John, I'm sorry
And,
it was so hard to touch base with you tonight. It just, it can happen. Do you have a website, something that you'd like to tell people that if they want to see more of your work or tune you in possibly on Facebook or other media?
No, not really, but we do have a website at the Suncoast Center for Fine Scale Modeling, and they can also Google Silverton Central if they want to see more of the railroad. There's a lot of people that put stuff up on it, which I'm very thankful for, and they can see a lot more of the railroad and stuff like that. We are going to be open in. We started in September, and the third Saturday of September from 10 to 3, and we go all the way through the winter. And we stop in May. May is our last month, and then we're closed for the summer. But we're having a lot of new things come into the center. Some surprises we have coming on down the road a piece, which I'm not going to really discuss right now, only because I want to make sure that all the ducks are in order. You know, but there's some pretty unusual stuff that's coming our way. And if you haven't been to the center, you really need to go. If you're in Florida, you need to look us up. It's really worth it.
Well, I'm figuring all the snowbirds that head down from Michigan and Wisconsin, the usual place that I
Yeah.
see down there. And you know, we have a lot of modelers out in the Midwest. This might be a good call for them to not only get out of the North and the Northeast in the winter, but maybe get down and actually have an agenda as opposed to just parking in front of a palm tree and, well, just about that, parking under a palm tree.
Right. Well, the center is kind of a mecca for modeling now. It's just in the United States, it's one of the best, and it's Dave Ravella had the dream, and he made it a reality. So I got to give him a lot of credit for that. I don't like to give him credit for anything.
Yeah, he says that. All right, John, we're going to let you go. You know, we have Bill Satori. You must know Bill, right, from Microlumina?
Yes, I do.
Well, he's coming up after you.
I use his
and
products. I know.
Well, as a matter of fact, I may do something different because normally Jack presents the clinic. It was already on, and normally he would answer
Right.
questions after that clinic. But as it worked out, because things got kind of in the kerfuffle, as Judge Judy would say, Jack is now sitting here relaxing, and he doesn't get paid, and he definitely doesn't get paid to relax. So I want to get him back here. I think what we're going to do is say goodbye to you, try to get a hold of Bill Satori,
Okay.
and maybe let Jack,
Hey, Jack.
interview Bill about what he's doing with castings and with
Hey, Jack.
what's his,
Can I say something to Jack?
what's that?
Hey, Jack. I want to say something to
You
Jack.
want to say
yeah.
something to Jack?
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, Jack, man, I love your modeling. You're a great modeler, and love your stuff, buddy.
yeah, Jack can't hear you. Let me just say, John just said, you know, you have a lot of work to do, but someday, you know, you may make it to grade. Just.
What grade? I got to the 6th grade.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying what he said. Don't you know? At any
Yeah,
rate, Jack is back. Look at old Jackie is back, as they say, and he's trying to sit tall. You see, he tries to sit taller than me. Well, I got this up here like I'm talking to you. I'm trying to get as tall as Jack. Jack is really just under 5 foot tall. At any rate, he lives in the tree and makes cookies.
My feet touch the ground, that's all I care.
All right, John, good talking to you, sir. I picked up the phone by mistake. This is going to be a little weird. Lenny, are you going to put us on? John,
John.
I'm going to let you go, bud.
Bye, John.
Bye, John. Are we going to be
gonna
good
call
with
him
Bill
right now.
Satori?
Can I call him right now?
We're going to call him right now. We will find out if he actually did pay his phone bill this month.
You can interview him.
You sure?
Yeah, good.
What?
I don't need to do anything.
John had nothing good to say about you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just saying.
Remember, I can watch this afterwards. So whatever you
know,
say, I don't believe
you.
you.
You don't use your computer at home.
Yes.
Ask Jim Mooney. He knows that.
Jim Mooney doesn't know anything. Jim Mooney lives on his computer. I don't live on my computer. If something comes up, I might look at it. That's-
We have Bill.
Uncle
Do you have
Bill,
me? Can
there,
you hear
sir?
me?
Can you
Can
hear
you
us,
hear-
Bill?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Oh, Bill, I can hear you. Oh, that deep, velvety, Sinatra-like voice. How you doing, Bill?
Okay. How about yourself, guys?
Welcome to Maine. And frankly, for a guy who lives in Pittsburgh, this could be a very welcome change of scene.
Can you ask him if he has any moon pies left?
Jack Ellis is here. He wants to know if you have any moon pies left.
No, I know where he went a while ago. I think he went down into my basement to look for the Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Rolls, he was looking for.
Yeah, he would always visit us at the shows and make sure I had a stock of Tootsie Rolls.
Well, you know, Bill, you may not be a hell of a model or even a nice fellow, but when it comes to
Handouts, he's good.
when it comes to handouts, it's great. You know, it's
That's
other than that, yeah, why did we have you here? Anyhow, for those of you who don't know Bill by sight, and many of you do because he's been at the Amherst show and other shows, well, a number of years. Bill originally started a company called Microlumina, which was a specialty lighting company because a lot of people are into lighting. And he did a lot of custom work at very, very fair prices. And not so long ago, and he'll fill us in on this, he made a purchase of not one, but kind of two other companies. Bill, why don't you fill us in just a little bit on that?
Yeah, we're coming up to the 1 year mark because I was just thinking about it. It was a year ago that we rented the U-Haul and went up to Massachusetts and took all the molds, the FSM molds off of Jimmy Degnan and the kits, all that stuff. And so it's been a real learning experience. And so a year ago, I knew nothing about spin casting. And just for anybody who wants to get into it and wants to Google spin casting, most likely you're going to learn about trout fishing and stuff like that. But as far as spin casting metal, that's it's not a real widespread kind of a thing. But it's very interesting, and it's been very rewarding as far as learning a new skill and something like that. But I don't know what else you want to know about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, spin casting is something that's very traditional, old school. You know, when you look at old photos, you can almost see him spin casting in those things. I know you've got a stack of molds there. I think you told me something like 12. Was it 1,200 molds that you have from George?
There's over 1,200 of his molds, and when we got them, we had to sort through them. Some of them weren't labeled. They might have had the kit number on them, but most people familiar with his kits know that you might have a casting that pops up from one kit to another. And in looking at the mold, sometimes you can't really tell exactly what it's going to be. And with the help of my wife, she's like cataloged every mold. And it's almost to the point where you could, hold up a casting and just say, "Oh, that's from number 160, the log shed or something like that." I mean, she's really getting good at it. But,
it must make it easier for you to sell them as an assorted kit, so to speak, as opposed to, look, you have this certain thingamajiggy, and you have to make 100 of them, and there's only one in each mold because there's 35 other different castings in that mold. Am I off base with this, or is this really what you're up against?
No, that's occasionally you might have a mold that has all the same thing in it. And then you might have one that has an assortment, and they don't always work all that well, and it can be very time consuming. I mean, back whenever George was casting, some of the castings had a lot of lead in them, and the lead had a high temperature, and it really flowed into the mold easily. But today it's hard to, with the high tin content and the low lead, almost no lead. It's hard to get it to flow into like real delicate stuff like windows and real thin casting, like some really thin doors sometimes. So sometimes it can be a real challenge.
Well, I know ourselves. We were notified by Walders and others of our distributors that we cannot have any lead. And I'm going, the hell with them. I mean, who's going to know if we have a little lead in our castings, And well, as it turns out, apparently there is some kind of a gun, almost like maybe a barcode scanner kind of a looking thing, that they can actually hold up to a package and determine if there's any lead in that package. So our good friends in California, even though we may think, well, you have one thing out of 50, it might just be enough to do it. So they really do kind of catch us in a difficult position. And I think you're right about sacrificing the quality of the casting itself, because the metal isn't as fluid as it would have been, geez, when we were, less than I say growing up, but certainly back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on, before the EPA and the politicians put all of this, yeah, like we're going to eat these things, all of these restrictions on what we do.
Yeah. If anybody remember that pulls out one of those old kits and gets one of those high lead windows, can tell after it's been sitting for a while, it needs a little straightening up because they're pretty soft and they get distorted over the years.
This is Jack. Are you going to continue with the sets for the George's kits? Are you going
Yes,
to do
we'll
those?
have more. We came up with have the pile driver. I don't have it listed on the website yet. That's another thing, websites. And let's see, what was the other one? G. Willikers was one that we rolled out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And there's more. We're working on a lot of other ones as we go. The logging repair shed, which I mentioned, that's one I'm trying to get some ready for the narrow gauge convention. I'm thinking, I'll try to get stuff that's kind of narrow gaugey, the rail car repair shed, the logging camp, logging repair shed, and some of the backwoods stuff. And probably no one will buy them. I don't know, but yeah, we're adding more to the assortments, to the selection rather, and probably have some other little sets to go along, like for people wanting to do some detailing,
Yeah,
general like barrels, crates,
So
clutter,
you will
that
be
kind of
selling the
stuff.
assortment boxes?
Yes,
Oh, good. That's good too. I buy those every
Yeah.
once in a while just to have them on hand.
and the individuals, and I wish. That's been taking up most of the time is the castings, and I need to get to the kits, but I have another job during the day, and so you got to kind of watch how can I spread myself.
You're right.
Well, let me ask you something, Bill. You had sent me not one but 3 photos. I would just want to consult with Lenny, who's running and producing this broadcast. Have we put up any of the pictures
have
of the
been,
shop?
I
All right,
have.
so you can see, anybody who's seen the photos, why don't you explain to the folks at home exactly what they're seeing in those 3 photos that you forwarded me earlier on today.
Okay. Up right now is the first photo.
That
Appears
Okay.
to be a laser engraver, maybe, along with molds along to the left.
Okay, now I see it. Yeah, on the left, those are the racks. There's another. That's one half of the molds right there, and you can see it goes all the way down to the other end of the garage. And I think there's another shot that shows where we're doing the casting. If you bring that one up.
So do you have another
That
shot you
one-
can bring
that-
up, Len?
Yep. Next is, let's see here. Next is all of his various molds, which I've shown before. It's a lot of molds there on the right side of the picture.
Mm-hmm. And they're all chronological. You can see back by the garage door some of the earlier ones that are with the brown rubber, and then they gradually transition to the black organic molds, and they're all lined up according to the kit, and they each has their own number. And we have a card file that we can go to, and we also have a database on the computer so we can do a search for like a 4-tread stair or whatever we might need. And so it's taking time to do that and get familiar with every casting. And another thing we did was last year we purchased a lot of old FSM kits off eBay and from John Addison, just so that we had a reference to go by, so we knew exactly what castings went to the set, and take a picture and have them all, lined up in order. And those will be updated on the website as well. But it's mainly for our reference, so we know what to include in the set, and we aren't missing something.
Well, let me ask you, what are you looking at here as far as the future of the company goes? Are you on both feet right now, or are you just in transition? And if you are on both feet, what do you see for the future of the company at this point, Bill?
Oh, not both feet yet. I would like to have something to work on when I retire from the day job, and because my discipline of engineering, manufacturing, and so I guess it's going to be hard to really get away from that completely. And I kind of enjoy the kits. But it is a lot of work, and I haven't been able to do any modeling.
Well, would you have any advice for would-be model manufacturers out there? You've been through it in a couple different ways at this point. Any advice for newbies that think this is the way to go and this is going to take care of them? Any suggestions at all?
Well, the old one, if you want to make $1 million, start off with $2 million, and then there's the other adage, like you can either be a good modeler or a good, I don't know, don't make your hobby your business, or vice versa. But I always like to do something. I like to learn new things, and with the casting, that was something new to learn. Making molds, the one shot, I don't know if you can see it, but there's the vulcanizer, so I can make molds, because some of them are a little tired. And I have production masters of George's that I can make some new molds, and also come up with some new stuff too. Because we got like 3D printing now that we can make with a high temperature resin, make a master doing that. But as we both know, the price of alloy has gone through the roof lately. So
Absolutely.
I might have to go to whittling or something like that, or carving.
Well, Bill, we're going to let you go. I appreciate you putting aside some time. I know, just like John Addison before you, Skype can be an unusual mistress, and we have been bouncing around here more than once with it. I can't blame it all on Skype. I'd like to blame some of it on Jack, but he really it's not his fault. So
Yeah, I'll take the blame.
Yeah, I was trying to text you.
and he keeps pulling this thing out of my ear because that's what you get for letting the kid play with the microphone. At any rate, that's it for Bill Satori. Bill, let me ask you, what is your website address? Anybody who has an inquiry or wants to maybe purchase some things from you, how do they get in touch with you?
Railroadkits.com. I think Lenny had the website up there. I don't know, or microlumina.com, because it'll all go to the same place. And if anybody's looking for something and they can't find it on the website, just shoot me an email, and I read those, and I'll get back to you and probably be able to get you
Well,
what
that's
you need.
great. I'm glad to see you supporting the hobby and doing the right thing. I think we all need that out there, and we're trying to do the same thing here. And I appreciate you taking the time tonight.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for what you're doing too.
Good to
Really
talk to
appreciate
you,
it. Same here.
Yeah.
All right, bye-bye now.
Good night.
Give me my ear back. Okay.
Well, give me-
And as you can see, Jack is still taller than me.
I think we need a splitter there so we can.
I wanted him to have the tall seat tonight, so I can feel like, whatever. I can stand up now. Anyhow, I think that's pretty much it for tonight. Do we have any questions or comments? It seems like a
Well,
quiet night.
That's what I was checking. No, not a whole lot of comments tonight.
Well, I noticed that when we posted the notices for this on Facebook and on the Daily Moose.
Clark checks in. He wasn't here at the start, so he may.
Well, we're not doing it again, Clark. You have to show up like everybody else.
Cock, they're recording it. You can look at it later. You don't have to, for us to do it all again.
We'll send you up to Cinescope. What is it? Cinescope? What was it called? Before they had film?
Kinescope.
Kinescope. We'll send you the kinescope, Clark, because I know you have the latest and greatest equipment.
And no power.
And no power. Living in Canada. Anyhow, guys, we appreciate you stopping by. Right now it's 8:50. We started this at 7:30. That's about the right length of these shows.
Pretty much.
So I'll be away this next month, pretty much working on a new catalog. Jack actually has a couple other hobbies, but his most important thing is working on Bar Mills kits because I say so.
I'm ahead. I'm way ahead, except for Christmas Kid. I'm way ahead.
Except you're way ahead. And even though Jim Mooney isn't here tonight, I hope he tuned in. I doubt if he tuned in.
I hope he was able to.
I hope he's able to because he's technically challenged. He works with the space program, you know. Anyhow, we appreciate you all stopping by. I know we didn't get many comments tonight, but we will be back first Monday in believe it, September. And I don't even know when the first Sunday is.
We'll have to figure out when Labor Day is and make sure we're not.
Next first Monday date, my wife writes. Like, I don't know what the next first Monday date is. Let's take a look really here so we can all. Where's the calendar? There it is. We're in August, July. Went the wrong way. September 6th, next first Monday. Another guest manufacturer. Support the hobby. Thanks for supporting us, and that's it.
Hold on 1 second.
Wait a minute.
Hold
on, both hands.
September 6th isn't Labor Day?
Is that Labor Day?
I'll bet it is.
Well, in this country, nobody works anymore.
This is true.
I don't
The
know.
only reason I
It's for
ask
the
is
women. It's
we
for the
tend
women.
to skip the holidays.
We do skip the
So I
holiday.
just
Let's
wanted
make
to-
it first Tuesday.
That sounds good.
September 7th. It sounds lucky. And come up with some questions and keep those pictures coming because I'll tell you, we did not get a lot of questions from you guys, but we certainly got a lot of terrific photos.
The other thing we might want to hear about is if you think of a guest that you might like to hear from, let us know and we'll see if we can get in contact with them and see if we can get them to come on.
We do have a couple pending. Some guys can't make it. Some guys don't want to answer their emails, so I don't know. But we're certainly going to be here and doing the best we can. And we've been dragging this on too long. So Lenny, you want to take us away, and that's it from Bar Mills. Thank you very much.